Hi guys, and welcome back to my YouTube channel. I'm an arm wrestler from Adelaide, South Australia, and I thought I'd make a few videos in regards to arm wrestling and a few things that are my opinions, my ideas, and just some training ideas as well. So I am part of a Facebook group called Armwrestling Training, and I noticed the other day one of the guys commented on, he was speaking about handle sizes and thick handles versus small handles, and a Russian guy told him that thin handles are for the wrist and thick handles are for the fingers. And I commented and said that Russian's a very smart man, whoever he is out there, he knows what he's talking about. And I thought I'd explain why that is the reason. And I believe that is the reason for using each handle. So I've got a couple of handles here, and I just wanted to demonstrate how this works and why it works this way. So one of my handles here is a Russian handle by the brand Silarukov. Excellent handle, pretty basic in its design, very free spinning. It's a 75mm handle, so what's that, 3 inches for the American way there. This handle is extremely difficult to use because it is so large and it spins so easily. So I have quite a large hand. You can see how my hand fits in that. Now, this is what I want to say about thick handles, in that the size of the handle dictates where the pressure goes. You can see on this that the distance to the center of the handle is, what's that, 1.5 inches, let's say, roughly, to where the handle spins. Now that means if I hold that in my hand, that center point is not only 1.5 inches away from my fingers down here, but it comes out from my palm, which means all that pressure, the point of pressure, is here. So that is mostly going to be taxing my fingers, my ability to hold the fingers, because it's further out into my fingers, that distance. So if you imagine that as a central point, the central point is about here. It's down my palm, not taxing to my wrist, and it is further out my fingers. Now, if you go to the fat grip, a little bit smaller, this is actually a Manus grip, a Korean branded one, but it's the same sort of thing if you've got a fat grip. Excellent as well. Obviously this doesn't spin. You put this on a dumbbell or a barbell to use to make the bar thicker. But again, the central point you can sort of see would be there, not quite as far down my palm and not quite as far out in my fingers, but still quite solid. So you can see both of those are going to train mostly your fingers, a little bit of your wrist as well. The smaller the handle you go, within reason, is going to get that point of pressure up as high into this area as possible. It's going to get further back on the fingers and further up the palm. The distance away from the wrist, obviously you want as maximal as possible to work on the wrist to increase that effort per pound or kilogram you've got on it. So if you imagine something this small, such as this bolt, it's going to be difficult to hold, but you can imagine all that pressure is as far up my wrist as I can go without going into my fingers and trying to cup like this, which is very uncomfortable and not really ideal for strength. So this is why I believe you see nearly all the Europeans, particularly the guys who are amazing at hooking through Europe, Rustam Babayev, Matyashenko, a heap of others, Prudnik, heaps of the Latvian guys, they all use a lot of the time just a regular dumbbell. Regular dumbbell, about that big, around roughly the size of that bolt head. That is going to get nice and close to the end of your wrist so that all that cupping pressure is coming straight through your wrist, and it's really not involving your fingers at all. Now, obviously you want some balance, you need to train your fingers, but the way those guys hook is they are hooking like this. They're not hooking like this, and I think there's a bit of a difference in style between European and American hooking. American hooking, they're holding onto each other, dragging the guy in and making a lot about bicep. The Europeans, WAF starts, for example, Professional World Arm Wrestling Federation starts, there's very little loading going on and it's very quick. They are trying to supinate and snap in as hard as possible. They're not trying to drag the guy in. They're just trying, they'll come forward with their elbow and snap that hand in. They're just trying to maximize their ability to cup as hard as possible. And those guys, you see their wrists, they are like iron. And I truly believe that is one of the main differences as to why they are so good at hooking in a very fast and efficient manner of hooking. And you think all those tendons attached to muscles that attach to tendons that attach on the inside of that elbow. The stronger you can get at doing this, the stronger that elbow is going to be for whatever you want. Hitting sideways, dragging, just side pressure in a finish, side pressure off the start. So the more you can train that, I honestly believe it will affect this directly down here. Within reason, obviously, if you're overtraining that, you know, you can start to get inflammation through here because these muscles are so tight, and I'll talk about that in another video. But I honestly think that is one of the main differences. So if you want to train your fingers, I believe using a rolling handle and a thicker rolling handle is excellent. I use this handle here, the Silarukov 75mm. I'll load it on a cable row machine, one-handed. I'll load it up as hard as I can go, work a few sets up, and just try and just see if I can unrack the weight without it flying out of my hand, flying back off and making a big loud bang. When I want to get strong in my wrist, I'll lay my forearm on a bench. Now, you've got to be careful. There can be some shear force issues with the wrist hanging off something, but I've found ways around that with my knees, which I can go into in another video as well. So, small, thin handles for wrist, thick, preferably rolling handles for fingers. Thanks a lot, guys. If you like any of my content, please subscribe, give it a thumbs up, and keep tuned for more videos. Thank you.